Yo, what's good? MattyG here. Welcome back. Got another trade recap for today. All right, we're gonna go over the trade yesterday and today because I was hella busy and I didn't get a chance to post, unfortunately. So we're gonna go over both, all right, and then kind of talk about why we took both, P&L, all that stuff. So we finished the month with about 13K, made 1.25 yesterday, 752 today, right? And yeah, cooked on the month. So we're happy with that. That's the closeout for this May. And yeah, that's what we made today. So yesterday, all right, yeah, yesterday we kind of had this trend line liquidity building up, right? We broke out, so I was just looking for a retest and a continuation higher, right, to these highs, and then uh basically, yeah, the high that it set. So right, I was just basically looking for a retracement zone for potential longs, right, in this 382 and this point 0.5, right, created a perfect zone here, right, and then we also had this unfilled 5-minute gap, right, along with this big 15-minute, and I believe, yeah, it was also halfway through this hour. All right, so this was my zone of the day, right? So I was just simply waiting for price to come tap into here and then to continue higher. All right. Yeah, market opens here. So I simply was just waiting for price to come down, right? And actually the first trade I took was a hedge lower, all right? So NASDAQ, right, pushes up, big inefficiency candle. ES doesn't even move, right? Doesn't even take this high, this high. Major bearish SMT, right? So I'm immediately looking for some kind of shorts down to our zone, okay? So we get another rejection, right? ES takes none of the highs, right? And we get this steep SFP, liquidity sweep, basically. So I enter on this after this candle close, right? I have stops up here and I'm just simply uh targeting my long zone, right? That's all that's all it was. So you can see I closed somewhere on this candle. Okay, could be because we're just getting closer to my long zone where I want to flip. So, right, this was the first quick trade with that just major bearish SMT here, right? It ended up playing out perfectly. And then, right, like I said initially, we were looking for some kind of retest and then continuation higher, bullish. So, right, um, I'm waiting, we get in our zone, right? And then we just start like boom, okay, here. We get this perfect IFVG at the bottom, V-shape recovery, and I am in here, okay? I'm in longs here. I have stops under a close below here, right? And, unfortunately, this shit comes immediately to stop loss, right? So I was a little upset about that one, right? We got this V-shape and IFVG bounce right off of our zone, and it didn't get respected at all. So, well, what I did see is yes was actually getting a very good bounce off of the same zone, right? So I was initially, right, looking for this bounce on NQ, right? But, right, ES had this exact same sort of setup that NQ did. So NQ's not respecting our zone, unfortunately. So I start looking for longs on ES instead. All right. So, right, NASDAQ keeps like still disrespecting our zone. And then ES gets this big pop through here. Right. So then we can come target these highs. Okay. So we get this big pop. I enter on this wick of this candle again. Right, stops underneath these lows, and I'm looking for these highs, okay? In hindsight, right, I probably should have been looking for all of the highs to get swept, but that's kind of a crazy swing. But honestly, if you have a trend line, right, the max liquidity is pretty much always going to get swept. So in hindsight, I should be probably TPs there, but I have my TP here instead. Okay, and you can actually see that Nasdaq comes back and then starts respecting our zone again. So that's kind of annoying, but you can see ES, right, it gets a clean play out here, right? We go break even on this high, okay? And then we're risk free. And then we get some crazy, crazy news candle here. Absolutely crazy. Look at that. NQ trade plays out in full. ES trade plays out in full. And literally to the full swing TP. So I should have been holding some kind of runner. I'm pretty sure it filled me somewhere here. Like, yeah, wherever it did. But this was still a great trade, like a 1 to 3 here. We'll take that all day. But it's just annoying that a NASDAQ kind of like manipulated around and then we actually smashed push TP. But yeah, those are the trades I took. Those three actually. Yeah, I took the three trades, but it was just everything was lining up pretty perfect. We had major inverse head and shoulders, and yeah. Okay, so for the trades today, all right, I was looking for some longs on NQ. All right, so on NQ, right, we had here previous London high, right, and then we also had a previous London high here, right, kind of making a double equal highs, and we were basically forming this big inverse head and shoulders here. We're waiting for a breakout and a continuation, right? So I was just looking for some kind of entry to get in here, all right? So I basically just zoomed into our current range, all right? And I saw that we had a pretty good 382 that tied in, all right? And then also from our local high, right, we had kind of this 382 and point 0.5 tying in. Yeah, so we also had this 5-minute unfilled fair value gap. All right. And not to mention, we also had an unfilled 15-minute that formed at the 9:15 candle. So, right, this was our zone of the day. Okay. So I was looking for a simply pull back into this zone and go higher. Okay. And I was hoping it to be paired, right, with a bearish SMT, I mean bullish SMT on ES, where ES came down, swept these lows, and then continued up off of open, right? It was looking pretty good, so I was basically we're waiting for some kind of SMT to happen. So before market open, right, we actually do come down into our zone, right? But it's a no news Friday, and typically we get some kind of manipulation on a no news Friday. So I was waiting for, again, ES to come sweep out these lows and then NASDAQ to leave both of these lows, creating this SMT to look for longs, right? So I was just waiting for market open here. And unfortunately, yeah, on right before market open, right, not even market open, we pump up, sweep out everything. All right. ES is still below all these highs. Okay. So unfortunately we missed that one. But right, we get this very bullish momentum. Okay. So I'm like, okay, ES is also probably going to do a break and retesting continuation higher, right? It's basically forming the exact same structure. So at this point, I'm just waiting for a break above these highs on ES. Okay. We don't get it here. We get it. We don't get it here. Boom. We get this candle here. Okay. So I enter on this next one right at like the bottom of it here, right? And then yeah, I basically just pulled 1.618 fibs from this high to this low, then this high to this low, right? And this was my target resistance zone because at all time highs it can just go, yeah, forever. So it ended out right playing well pretty good. I closed on the somewhere in here, so somewhere in this pink, And yeah, so that was that trade, right? And as you watch, right, we actually ended up not going much higher and then coming all the way right back down. So happy with this. Caught a good move there, even though we missed it on NASDAQ and could have caught an absolute banger. But unfortunately, it did not give us any entry. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, good trades overall. And yeah, so that's about it for this trade recap, right? I hope you guys enjoyed, right? I hope you guys are cooking and incorporating some of this stuff into your trading. If you're struggling with anything in particular, all right, DM me, hit me up somewhere, and I'll try my best to help. Yeah, follow me on my socials, like, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, catch you next one. Peace.